All right. So, first of all, let me cover this. So, Gabe, um, you did some door knocking, right, Gabe?
Yes, I did some door knocking yesterday.
So you got into a house. How many houses did actually answer the door?
So I did 30 door knocks yesterday. I would say 28 of them answered the door, but before I left, I didn't realize it was football Sunday. So pretty much there was more than what I asked for when I answered the door. Or when they would answer the door, there'd be about 10, 15 people in almost every house I went to,
Wow.
just watching the game. So I was just like, oh, all right. I was able to find one house where they weren't watching football.
Okay. Well, you live and learn, right? So one
Yeah,
house.
yeah.
So tell us what happened when you what did you say to her and how did you get in the house, and then tell us what happened after that.
Yeah, so the this was actually the last house I knocked down, and it was two Polish people, very nice people. They almost immediately allowed me to come into the house. I showed them that they signed something. They're like, "Yeah, come on in." So I went upstairs, but they were very confused because it looked like they didn't know what they actually requested. So they couldn't figure out which one of them actually sent the form in. And then they figured out that it was the husband. He was like, "Oh, well, that is my handwriting." But he's like, "Well, what is this?" I was trying not to say the word life insurance as best as I could. So I kept dancing around the fact that it was a coverage, a program that is meant to cover the financial burden if one of them is to pass away. But they pretty much weren't interested from the beginning. They were just trying to hear me out, but I couldn't get them to turn around because I was asking them questions such as, what do you guys currently have in place if something is to happen tomorrow, let's say? And they're like, well, we have some money aside, blah, blah. I was like, okay. I was like, and do you guys happen to have kids? I did the whole, what are your kids' names? What are their hobbies, et cetera, et cetera. And then I use their kids' names, and they're like, well, they actually live in Poland. So I was like, oh, okay. I was like, okay. They're like, I was like, all right, well, but again, like if something was to happen tomorrow, so I was like, well, what exactly would happen? Who would be paying for it? And pretty much they're just saying, yeah, we have money set aside. And I didn't want to ask them exactly how much. But I was like, do you think it's enough? Because burial costs are around $15,000 for the kit and caboodle. And like, yeah, I mean, we're really not interested right now. And they're like, we want your number because we have family members that do have it. We'd like to speak to them first. And I'm like, I don't even know what to say at this point. So I was trying not to sound desperate. So I was like, it's not a problem. I gave him a few more points of information saying that it's not just something that you use when you die, that you could utilize it while you're living. And I gave him a quick explanation of that you could have policies that serve as a retirement. And there's also riders in some policies that allow you to take 80% of the death benefit. God forbid somebody was to have a disability occur to them in the near future, and I couldn't get past it. So they didn't know what they signed up for. They thought it was just they were like, was this in the paperwork with the lease we signed on the condo?" I was like, I don't think so.
Yeah. So was it a final expense lead or was it a mortgage protection lead?
It was a final expense lead.
Final expense? Okay. Yeah, I mean you were really kind of hitting around it. I mean, you're not going to turn around everyone that you walk in, but I here's what I mean, I don't know that you could have done anything more than you did, but let me just tweak a little bit on how you ask questions.
Yeah,
So um, the the objective of showing, whether they remember sending it in or not, I try not to get into a debate with them on, yeah, you sent it in. No, I didn't. Well, see here, it's your handwriting. No, I
Oh,
didn't.
that was them and the wife. That was the guy and the wife doing all that. I was just watching them have at
Right, right,
it.
right, right. And they're like saying, no, I didn't do it, whatever. Okay. Okay. So I'm just saying in general. Okay. In general,
Uh-huh.
you can't debate with them on whether or not they sent it in. If they are fighting against that, I get off that right away. I go, well, look, let me explain why most people fill out a form like this. Most people fill out a form like this because they're worried about their family having to come up the money to pay for a funeral when they die. Okay. So I don't like to use wishy washy words like pass away, when they're taken up to heaven, when they're called home. No, it's like when you die, who's going to have to pick up the pieces? Who's going to have to pay for the funeral? And then you shut up and let them answer the question. Um, yeah, and you were saying stuff like that, like when you die tomorrow, tell me what happens. Who is going to have to pay for the funeral? Um, I like, and you got to, so you have to be more emotional, use emotional words about it. Who's, and so I try to put them in the situation. So what's his name? What's the guy's name?
Henry. Henry Apolsky.
Henry.
Yep.
And then what's
Also
his wife?
their English wasn't so great.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
that could be
yeah.
a challenge. And then what's the wife's name?
It was so so something. I couldn't pronounce her name. I avoided pronouncing her name. I was
Okay.
just saying Mr. and Miss Apolsky.
Okay, that's fine. That's actually fine. Um, Actually, when you take time to learn their name, they you honor them.
Oh, I asked. I couldn't say it, so I can't remember it now.
I know. Even if I can't say it right, I'll say, I'm gonna get this right, ma'am. It's what is it again? And then I have her like phonetically. It's really funny how people are when you take the time to make an effort. They actually, anyway. So so Mr. Poloski, when you die, Mrs. Poloski, what are you going to do to pay for his funeral? And then I shut up and let her answer the question. Well, we have some money set aside. Oh, well, that's great. Um, so funerals, were you planning on a casket funeral or were you looking for a cremation? And do you believe in cremation or you looking? I'll let them answer that question. If they say, well, probably casket. Okay. Now, do you know how much that costs? Uh, yes, no, whatever. If they say yes, oh, how much? If they say 7,000, I go, you probably haven't checked lately. It's in the upwards of 15,000 or more. So do you have enough to cover a $15,000 funeral? So you're not asking how much they have. You're just asking, can that amount of money they set aside cover that?
Mhm.
And let them think about it. Yes or no, whatever. But here's my point, honestly, man, is you got to get, so when you start asking questions, it's a funnel, right? So you start general questions at the top of the funnel, and then you have to ask more pointed drill down questions so you can, figure out what it is that they need or don't need, because you might find out they have plenty of money. Great. Okay. Then you walk away friends. I don't know that I'm into, like, I'll pivot if I feel like they're still open. The easiest product to pivot to, honestly, is my opinion, is hospital indemnity. How old were they?
They were both 61.
Oh, golly, they're younger than me. That's scary when I think about that. 61. Well, so I would ask them, have you, either one of you, ever spent?
Wait, Alex, how old are you?
I'm not going to say,
You
but
look like you're in your 40s, man. Are you serious?
you're very kind. Thank you very much. Actually,
Well, I'm not even kidding.
my
I'm
birthday's
not kidding.
Thursday. Yes,
You would
I
have
am
fooled
older
me.
than the couple you talked to.
Jesus.
Anyway, so I would pivot to hospital indemnity and I would ask, have you either one of you spent an overnight stay in a hospital? And but 60s, maybe they have. I don't know. Anyway, if they have, great. Then I would talk about, we have this product. How would you like to get paid for um, per day? They're probably not Medicare yet. They're probably still working, I imagine. Anyway, if they're older and retired, then the hospital indemnity is a great product to pivot to. But anyway, like I said, you're in general, when you get into someone's house, it's there really is no difference than when you're sitting down with them with the lead. The only difference is they're trying to remember, like in this situation, they're trying to remember what they sent in and trying to figure
Hmm.
out why you're there. When you're booking an appointment off a final expense lead or any kind of lead, typically they know why you're coming over because they sent something in, right?
Right.
So that's the difference. When you're doing a door knock and then you sit down, you have to kind of refresh you have to kind of reset the reason why you're there, you show them the lead, like, is this your writing? You sent this in, blah, blah, blah. Then you get to sit down with them. How y'all doing today? Hey, listen, I don't want to spend a lot of time. You fill this out. We don't show that we took care of it. Let me explain this form and what it's about. Most people, we go back to the most people, like our boot camp phone booking um, call on Saturday. Most people, when they fill this out, they're worried about their family having to come up. And I use worried, you got to use emotional words. They're worried about, they're concerned about, worried is better. They're worried about their family having to figure out how to pay for their funeral when they die. And so what we do is we help our clients, families, nice families like you, be able to protect their families with the life insurance products. So when you die, the insurance company will give your family enough money to take care of the burial expenses without having it to come out of their pocket, without them having to do a GoFundMe page, you know. And I actually like to add more emotional words to that, without suffering the embarrassment of cleaning up a GoFundMe page, calling some family and friends to help pay for their funeral. They don't have to go through that embarrassment. Does that
Yeah.
make sense, Joe and Mary? Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I could say that I get the idea of what you're saying. It's just gonna take some real practice for me because in the moment it's hard
Oh
to
yeah.
remember everything
Oh
because
yeah.
my
I
palms are
know.
sweating, my back's wet. Um,
But you have a chance because you actually, dude, you're doing the right thing because you're going to learn from these experiences. Now you'll know what to say better next time, or you'll know how to, practice it, right?
yeah, I mean it
And
worked. I was able to transition better today from the rapport building to the asking the
oh,
pain
that's good.
questions.
That's great.
I actually almost didn't make it through today, I will say. The the guy wound up calling up his son because his son had his banking information.
Oh, seriously?
I was trying everything in my power to prevent that from happening. So I had to sell the son over the phone too. Because
Oh,
I'm on the
well,
last step where I just need the banking
dude.
information and the signature. I was like, oh my
So you
Jesus.
sold the son.
I sold this. Well, I didn't sell him a policy, but I sold the son
Well,
on the
that's what I'm
policy
saying.
for the father.
You sold the policy by selling the son on giving up the banking information.
Well, I asked the son plain out. I was like, well, sir, all due respect, but I just wanted to ask you this question. If your father was to pass away within the next week, are you financially equipped to take care of the burial expenses? He was just like, um, not right this second. I was like, well, that's why I'm here. I was,
Dude, you
and I happen to
rocked.
know this. I happen to
You
know the son was using the father's car too because he didn't have the money to buy another car. So
Man, you nailed it, dude. You nailed it. You totally nailed it. Hey man, don't change a thing about that whole situation. I hope the
Yeah.
other agents are listening to this.
But
You
yeah,
did pain finding on the sun too, by the way, right?
I had to. I was
You
like, I
had
can't let
to.
this. I was like, I've been here for 2 hours. I
Oh my
can't lose.
gosh.
I was like, I can't let this go at the last second because the sun gets involved.
Good for you,
So
dude. I am so proud of you. That is good
thank
stuff,
you.
man. That is good stuff right there. All right.
Oh, actually,
Well,
I'm sorry,
go
but
ahead.
I had one last question.
Yeah.
Just because I was there for so long, I got to know the guy pretty well. He's a old veteran, and as far as burial goes, I know he was part of the Korean War. He was talking about he has a book that he wrote. He gave me one of his books to read as well.
Wow.
Yeah, like I said, I was there picking his brain for quite some time. Wasn't all about the sale.
That's
Do
good
you know
stuff.
anything about the VA giving burial benefits? Because his family is all over the US and I would like to help him apply for a little bit extra from the VA if I could.
Well, I have a little chart on VA benefits, so I can send that to you. That's um they'll provide a little bit of money for a headstone, I believe. I have to look at that chart. It's not very much. Like it's
Because I
not going to
know,
cover a burial at all.
yeah, because I know he was active from 79 up until 2011.
Wow, so he
So
must have retired.
yeah, and then he was an instructor for the Navy for fighter jets. So
Oh man, dude, I would have been there for hours talking,
oh
picking
yeah,
his
I'd
brain.
I'd say maybe like 25 minutes of it was actually the sale. The other 2 hours and 5 minutes was me asking him questions about all his
That's
experiences.
cool.
So
That's Bonner report. I do that too, dudes. You're right on track there. Okay, I'll send you. Remind me, like email me, and I'll send you back the
well, I
one of
have
the.
a Zoom with you tomorrow, so I guess I'll just
Oh,
ask tomorrow. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Alrighty.
Oh,
I'll let you continue.
What time is that?
That's at 3:30.
Uh, we might have to make it a little bit later. I'll let you know because we
Yeah,
land
that's
in
fine.
Phoenix.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
think
It's
I
work. It
might be able
works
to
for me.
make it. I'll let you know for sure. But yeah, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, that's fine with me. So,
Okay.
alrighty.
So we've only got 5 more minutes. Well, what I'm going to cover, and it may still be Thursday night, I think. We'll see. I'm going to hit hard placement and persistency. Okay. So let me recommend some things so you make sure you lock this down. After the sale, um, Gabe, what I would do is I would tell the client, listen, you're going to have questions. So I'm going to call you back in a couple days. Here's, um, so I want you to write down your questions. I'm going to call you back a couple days so I can answer your questions. Okay. Is that cool? That's, and then you call him back in a couple days and see if he has any questions. And what you're looking for is you're looking for buyer's remorse. You're looking for the person because you come out, number one, you do it because they're going to, you fulfill a promise. Trust is built by fulfilling promises. When you promise I'll call you back in 2 days. What some agents think is they take the money and run. They think that, oh gosh, if I call the client back, they're going to cancel. It's like that's why you want to call them back to find out if they're going to cancel. But you don't ask them, are you going to cancel this policy? No, they're going to let you know within a couple days because they're going to say something like, hey, Cam, I'm so glad you called. I was thinking maybe it's just a little bit too much, blah, 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 right? Well, 2 days after your sale, you have a chance to save it, right? You have a chance to go back in there and say, hey, listen, I was kind of thinking the same thing. Listen, I've got an appointment. I'll be done with that at 6. Let me stop by and let's talk about it. Let's see what we can do to help you out here. And they'll let you come back. But 2 weeks later, either 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, you discover a chargeback. It's because you didn't do the check back call. They had buyer's remorse. Or you call them back 2 weeks later, say, hey, just want to let you know that your policy is issued. You're going to be getting it. Then they say, Alex, we're going to cancel this policy. We just can't. And then and you're going, but. No, they made their decision. It took them 2 weeks to solidify a decision that could have been a 2-day call for you to get back with them and say, hey, just checking in. Did you have any questions? And then they say, well, we're thinking about, see, it's softer. You have a chance to save it, but you wait 2 weeks. I'm sorry, they made their decision. You got a chance to save it, right? So that's why you do the check back call. Okay, you look for buyer's remorse. Okay. The other thing that I would have done if I were with the client is I'd have my policy with me. Remember, I said you should get your policy. This is the biggest reason why you should have your policy is you pull your policy out, Gabe, and you show the client like Mr. Palenka or whatever his name is. I would say, would you like me to show you what your policy is going to look like? And he's probably going to go, I guess. Let me show you my policy. So you pull your policy out of your bag and you go over a pre-delivery. You take your policy out. You show them now this summary page is going to be the summary of what you're paying and what you're going to get. See here, like you see my name, your name's going to go right there. And you see my benefit, 25,000, your benefit of 15,000 is going to go right there. And then you turn the page over and you see the summary of the payments. This shows you the premiums that you're going to pay. It's going to be, it'll show you exactly how much you're going to pay every month. And then the rest of the policy, let me show you where the rest of the stuff is. It'll cover all the details. And then at the end of your policy will be a copy of your application. You see here, it's going to be right here. Okay. So you're going to get this document and you're going to put here, hold on, take a look. So what you did was you turned a conceptual sale into a sale where they're holding something, they're doing a whack on the policy, on your policy. And it's got sound to it. It's got feel. You give them something they can touch and feel. Now it's a product that they get. It's a contract. So now they get to see the culmination of your 2 hours turns into this policy, right? So you made this esoteric thing into something they can grab. I'll tell you what, man, they're like, wow, this is really cool. Yeah, because you made this conceptual process into something they can touch and feel. And all the kinesthetic touch and feelers, man, they're all over it, dude. I'm telling you, right? And then protect the sale. Here's what some of you, sometimes agents will come behind you, right? So this is a thing you can do to protect yourself. Now, Mr. Palanca, I'm not the only one that probably got this form. Maybe you filled out multiple forms. There are going to be other agents that are going to call you, and they're going to say all kinds of things like, hey, I got this form from you. They're going to say similar things that you heard from me. And they're going to try to talk their way in. You're going to tell them that you already, that you took care of this with me. And they're going to come up with some kind of slick way of talking their way in their house. They're going to tell you, oh, I can get you cheaper, or I can, Mr. Palanca, do you feel comfortable with what I've done for you today? Is this something that, because I want to know now, like, if you don't trust me, you don't feel this is a good relationship, then, I want to know if I did anything wrong. But do you feel comfortable with what we've done today? Oh, yeah. So if an agent calls and tries to talk their way in here, are you going to have them come in and quote and do all that stuff? Because if you want that to happen, then I don't think I did a good enough job. And what I would recommend is we just stop this application if you feel like you didn't trust what I did for you and you'd let another agent come in. You know why you're able to do that? Because you have the confidence that you created bond rapport, you found pain, you locked the sucker down, right? And I think, Gabe, you spend enough time with him. I don't think he's going to. No, Gabe, I like you, man. You've been great. Okay, I just want to make sure. That's called protecting your sale. Okay.
Oh, me and him are friends now. We're friends.
Okay.
Yeah, he
Dude,
said that on the phone when I got home.
right. Never, ever ever just depend on your feeling about that, right? Like your feeling like your friends does not absolve you of asking him, hey, by the way, there are other agents that are going to call you. Like you got to protect yourself. I don't care how, because what you're going to find is some people will just turn on you. Okay.
Oh no, it's protected. I
Well,
actually I promised him once the application gets approved that I'm
yeah.
coming back over and we're gonna go over it one more time
Oh,
so
yeah.
he
And you
knows.
better. That's
And I
part of the
also
process. That's
I
part of the
told him I'm
process.
gonna help him set up his online account with Mutual of Omaha
Yeah.
because he's not good with technology. So
Yeah. That's
I'm
awesome.
gonna show him how to work it all.
Right. Okay. Here's what I'm trying to teach you, Gabe.
Hmm.
I'm going to try and teach you a process that will work every time so that you're not going to get a charge back beyond what we expect. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So, because I've had this, so let me teach you something. I had agents, they'll go into someone's home and the client will go, I'm so glad you're here, Gabe. My wife and I, we've been needing this policy. And this is something that, tell you what, I mean, just tell us how much this is going to cost because we're ready to get it right now. And in your mind, you're going, oh, I don't have to do bond and rapport. I don't have to do upfront contract. I don't have to do pain finding because they want the policy. So you know what they're going to sucker you into doing? They're going to sucker you into doing rates. And then you give them 3 rates and you're thinking, this is a done deal. This is a done deal. They're going to give you 3 and they're going to look at you, look at the rates, and you're going to say, so which one do you feel comfortable with? Because you got rid of all the other stuff because you thought this is a done deal, right? They want it. And then you give the 3 rates, say which one's the best one for you. Wow, Gabe, you know what? My husband and I think you did the great job. You're one of the best salespeople that ever came into our house, and I appreciate it. This is really what we needed. We need to really figure out what our budget is. And you know what? I tell you what, if we do this, we're going to call you because you're the best agent we've ever sat down with. And by the way, as you leave, before you leave, because they're standing up and they're ushering you out the door, hey, do you got some cards? Because we're going to pass your cards out at church this Sunday. Okay. And so what they did is they sold you, man. They sold you thinking you were thinking you had a done deal, and they sold you and they stole your rates from you. And then they do the thing. Let me have some cards so I can send it to all my friends. Dude, whenever that happened to me, I never, ever, ever got a referral. Hey, Alex, Martha and Steve gave me your card at church. They said they were so happy with the quotes you gave them. I'm going to give you a call. Dude, that never happened. Okay, now I'm just giving you the benefit of my 23 years of doing this. So I might know nothing. I I I may not know crap about this process. All I know in my 23 years is that you have to have a process you can trust. You can't shortcut it, dude, because if a client fakes you out that causes you to shortcut these processes that I'm putting in place here, you're going to get chargebacks and you're not going to understand why, right? Does that make sense?
Oh, I'm with you. Can you start over from the beginning?
No, because I don't
No,
have time, but I
I'm just kidding.
will.
I'm just kidding with you.
I
I'm
know, I
playing
know.
with you.
But I will teach this. We'll do a boot camp on placement and persistency. I promise you. And I'm going to go every single thing. And you're going to think, geez, there are 9 things that I have to do for the post sale. This is post sale, by the way, the Sandler post sale. Yes, only if you want to make money. Like if you want to lose money, you want to get charged back out the butthole, then don't do any of this. Okay. But if you follow a process, then your placement persistency are going to be the highest. See, our average placement persistency in the alliance is 75%. Okay. 75% placement, 75% persistency. You know what that means? Is that we have agents at 90% placement persistency and we have agents at 50% placement and persistency. That's why you get to this average, right? Somebody's got to make the average up. So are you going to be the high end of the average or are you going to be on the low end? If you're on the low end, that's the quickest way to get drummed out of the business, man, because you're going to be losing money. You're going to be leaking money and you're not going to know what the hell happened. And the only reason you know what the hell happened is if you followed all 9 things in the post-sale process. And I'm not going to teach it all now. I'm giving you some things to think about next time you go out there. When I go into this in detail, I'll teach you everything.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Can I
But
share three quick things I learned at this boot camp?
yeah,
You don't mind?
sure, please.
I attempted them all at this appointment.
That's great.
So one of the things that I learned was, well, I can't learn, but one of the things that was demonstrated was one of the teachers, Coleman. He said every time before he goes into a house, he pulls out his notepad and he writes three reasons why somebody would get life insurance or somebody would be contacting him requesting information. So he writes reason one, they've had a recent tragedy. Reason two was they don't want to leave debt behind. And reason three was they have some coverage but might not be enough. And he'll keep it out on the notepad. And when the time is right, and I tried this today, you put the paper down in front of them and you have them circle which one that they felt is why they called you today. And it's to assume that they have coverage opposed to being, oh, I don't have coverage. So it helps narrow down for them. And then you ask them why. Why did you choose that? Why is that important to you? And he says he'll keep asking why until he feels like he's satisfied with the answer. So I tried that one out today.
That's good. That
Another,
is actually in our training for how to do a final expense. There are 3 reasons why people request this coverage. These are 3 reasons, which are the reasons why, like exactly what you said. And that gets
awesome.
you into the pain finding. So that's a good way to get into pain finding. That's
Yeah.
great.
Another one was the 5% rule that this gentleman came up with. The 5% of their annual income. The premium shouldn't be any higher than that. So I went through this guy's bills with him. He broke down his rent, how much his car payment is, how much he spends on food, if he has any medical bills, and we broke it all down. And I found a perfect budget for him. I gave him 3 options. We chose the one that was the best, which was the lowest option because I wanted the one that's going to last, not the one that he feels like he could do. So that was the other one.
That's good. That's good. Do you think you got something out of that boot camp?
Oh, 100%. I got 3 pages of notes out of it, so
Yeah, 3 pages of notes, baby.
I'm going to be trying it all. So
And isn't it something special about being around real live people instead of a Zoom
yeah.
call?
Well, I actually got a lot out of your boot camp that you had on Saturday too. I
Yeah,
was listening to that.
I
I
appreciate that.
actually this morning I read my script 50 times as you said. I realized I wasn't putting in the work the way I should have been. So 50 times I put myself on video recording myself doing it 50
I
times.
love it.
And then my first call, I had a I had an appointment, so it was perfect.
You know, dude, you remind me of Alan Talib. It's funny when agents actually listen to what I recommend. Like it cracks me up. It actually works for some reason. I don't know why that is.
It's
But
crazy.
and you know what you did also is you followed my recommendation that you should be at that boot camp, right?
Yep.
Like just you made a decision that you were going to spend time away from other things you could do and decided you should go. And obviously, what you learned made a difference in making a sale today. And again, you listened to my recommendation and then you listened to the people that were teaching. And now you have the fruits of the benefit, right? And what cracks me up is how many people out there I make recommendations, they choose not to follow it. And it's like, okay, well, that's cool. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I like working with guys like you, Gabe, because you follow through and you do stuff. That's why I think you're going to be a monster in the business, and you will, because you have the just a sincere desire of, you know, suspending belief and believing that what I'm recommending will work. And dude, You got that attitude, brother. You're going to kill this thing. So I couldn't be more proud of anybody that I've ever gotten started. Dude, I'm serious about that.
Appreciate that, sir.
Because I hope some of y'all out there that are listening to Gabe are thinking, maybe I should attend a real live meeting. Maybe I should be on all the Zoom calls. Maybe I should be on the Alliance calls. Maybe watch some of the videos that I lied to Joy about, that I said I watched that I didn't watch because I wanted to get the leads right away. Like I know you think that I've raised 5 kids. Okay. You don't think that I've heard every possible, lie that any agent's ever told me, right? I've I've heard it all. You don't have to. And you know what? You know how I know you're lying is that you go and make the same mistakes that we've taught not to do, and you go out there and do it. Can you recover? Yes, you can recover. Okay. But don't lie, man. Because the problem with you lying to us is you're lying to yourself, and you're not giving yourself a chance to make this business work. So you really hurt yourself. It's like, I don't care. Look, I've got so many agents coming on. Do you see how many people that I brought on? I got plenty of people to replace you. I got plenty of people that who will listen, like Gabe. Now I know Gabe listens to me. Anytime he calls, high priority, I'm picking up my dadgum phone. And if I'm talking to you that's not doing anything, guess what? I'm going to put you on hold. Like say, hey, I got someone calling me. Can I put you on hold, please? So now you know. I shouldn't have said that probably. But there are some people that take high priority because they're willing to listen and implement. I don't care if they haven't turned anything in, but they're listening, they're willing to implement, they're going out there. And I value that. Does that make sense to everybody? I value that because I know that I'm not wasting, not throwing my pearls to swine. That's biblical, by the way. That someone will actually get something from what I'm teaching them. And that's all I want. I want someone to listen and do. And Gabe, you rock, man. You're a great example for all these people out here. You brand new agents, listen to Gabe. He is the one that you want to be like. Okay. Anyway, appreciate y'all. God bless, man. I hope you got something out of this. Gabe, thank you. Thank you so much, dude. Proud of you.
Thank you, man. You're changing my life.
Well, you're changing other people's lives out there, bro. Your clients and the agents that are listening to you.